Nintendo 64, the self-proclaimed fun machine. No, really, it says it right there on the box. This curvaceous black box is the ultimate nostalgia trip for millions of 90s kids, myself included. But its reputation today is a little more, we'll say, mixed. Nobody doubts that Nintendo's 64-bit wonder is home to some of the best bangers of the late 90s, but outside of the heavy hitters, few would claim that its library wasn't at least a little bit lacking in variety. Aside from the obvious lack of RPGs, the biggest prevailing sentiments in this area seem to be that the library is overwhelmingly first-party focused, meaning games developed in-house at Nintendo, and that the majority of the noteworthy library is made up of 3D platformers. So today, we're gonna squish that Venn diagram together, and we're gonna take a look at every single first-party 3D platformer ever released on the Nintendo 64.
As old Timothy Nintendo used to say, it's time to get in or get out.
Our list obviously starts with Super Mario 64, the launch title that would come to set the tone for the platform as a whole. One of only 2 games available at launch in the US, and part of a relatively light launch window, it was up to Mario to almost single-handedly carry the N64 in its early days. Any other game might have fallen apart under the pressure, but Mario 64 made it look easy. If you weren't there in 1996, it's impossible to explain just how much of a revelation this game was. It wasn't the first 3D game, but it might as well have been. Prior attempts at 3D games were clunky at best, and required a lot of learning and practice to wrap your head around the controls. Mario 64's controls changed the game. They were not only more intuitive than what had come before, but they were more responsive. Just point the joystick in the direction you want to go, and even a novice player will be performing complex acrobatics in no time. But it wasn't just the controls. The entire structure of the game was a perfect introduction to 3D. The levels are less like the focused gameplay challenges that had come before, and more like open playgrounds to experiment in. Combine the ultimate 3D playground with movement and physics that are easy and fun to use, and you've got a game that's all about the joy of movement. We would play this game for hours just to jump around with no particular goal in mind because Mario was such a delight to control.
This Mario guy is really something. I bet he's gonna be famous one day.
There's a couple of rough edges here and there, an occasionally finicky camera, and a stage or two that don't quite come together. But overall, Mario 64 stands the test of time. I've been playing this game once or twice a year, every year since 1996, and it's still deeply satisfying. This game is one of a kind.
Sounds like a tough act to follow. So what's next on our list?
Actually, that was the last one. We just reviewed every first-party 3D platformer on the Nintendo 64.
For some reason, I was expecting the list to be longer.
Well, you know, it was all about quality over quantity back in those days. Be sure to leave a comment below to let us know which first-party 3D platformer was your N64 favorite. And remember to subscribe to catch our follow-up next week where we rank the entire list from worst to best. Our #1 pick might surprise you.